What's harder, cycling or running? How about this? Is doing the Goggins challenge more difficult on a bike or on foot? That's the question I'd like to answer as I prepare for what's no doubt going to be a tough weekend. I have to assume that you know who David Goggins is if you're watching this video. And the title tells you what this is about. So I'm not going to explain one or the other more than I have to. But for the sake of those of you living under rocks or in caves, here's David Goggins explaining things in that unique way only he seems capable of pulling off.
All right, it's a good time to announce the 4x4x48. I figure a lot of you just got through eating Thanksgiving dinner, gained about 5 pounds, looking for ways to get it off your ass. The 4x4x48 is a good way, looking for goals for next year. Well, 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours is a good way to do it. You can start training now. It starts March 4th. We're starting out west. It starts at 8 p.m. West Coast time. So I have a lot more information to pass out. Once again, it's a good way to raise money. Last year we raised over $3 million. Hopefully this year we can raise more. I'm gonna be running with several groups this year, starting out west, working my way back home. Several celebrities want to join me to see what they got. So start training hard and stay hard.
So 2022 marks the 3rd annual 4x4x48 Goggins Challenge, and I decided this was my year to do it, having missed the previous editions due to life. But I'm definitely doing it this year, with the plot twist being that I'm doing it as a cycling challenge. And that makes me wonder which is harder, cycling or running, because this challenge is all about doing hard things. That's why David Goggins created it. But if cycling is easier than running, am I missing the point? I have a good reason for choosing to do it this way because of race goals I have that require a lot of cycling training, and this is the perfect way to start building the fitness I'm going to need later this year. I just want to make sure that it's as hard on my bicycle as it would be in my running shoes. Because I'm sure that some of you are thinking that cycling is way easier than running. And you're 99% right for the most part, but 100% wrong if you ignore how I'm going to do it. It's going to require some math though, with the basic rules of the challenge being that you are supposed to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. There is also an alternative set of guidelines that suggest that any form of physical activity is fine as long as it is an equivalent amount of time as the average runner takes to cover 4 miles. That's about 40 minutes, give or take. I want to participate in the Goggins challenge in a way that makes me a better athlete for future challenges. I know I can run 4 miles in 35 to 45 minutes at a pace I can repeat every 4 hours for 48 hours, and that would be great. But it just doesn't make much sense to run 48 miles over the course of a weekend when it won't benefit me physically where I need it most. Sure, it's good mental training, but running that much isn't going to help my cycling training in any meaningful way. Sport-specific adaptations are a thing, and I need to get better at cycling this year. So I'm going to do the challenge and buy the shirt that David Goggins sells for charity and go into this as a training opportunity, just not as a runner. But cycling the equivalent of my running pace just doesn't seem, fair. This event is a worldwide phenomenon, and I want to respect the efforts being put in all over the globe by people trying to live up to the example set by David Goggins. A 40-minute bike ride or 4 miles of cycling is nowhere near as taxing as 4 miles of running and doesn't really do this challenge justice from my perspective as an endurance athlete. Running that many times over 48 hours is a grueling test of character and ability. Cycling that many times is not on the same level. It's still hard, but there is hard the way we all understand the word, and then there is the David Goggins definition of hard.
A lot of us out here are pushing real hard, but we're afraid to go to that dark side.
And if I'm going to do the Goggins challenge, I want to do it in a way that honors the man and his values. He wants everyone participating to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and I am 100% on board with that. My entire life is a testament to that concept, so I'm not going to conveniently ignore it now. For starters, I need to address that the equivalent cycling to running ratio is not 1-to-1. Running and cycling are not equal when it comes to perceived effort or metabolic cost. As in, I'll have to cycle 3 times as long as I run to get a workout that balances effort and output. But both are moving targets during any given session, and I want something more reliable to work toward. I want a number that is both consistent and not affected by my performance at any given point in the challenge as I get slower and slower. I want a target to aim for that is static, regardless of how I'm feeling lap to lap. That's why I'm going to use distance in this instance. Distance makes the most sense in a challenge like this because it's a fixed metric. The number of calories I burn or the time it takes me for each lap don't have the same fixedness as a mileage goal does, especially when applying my run to ride ratio. So instead of a 4x4x48 challenge, I will be doing a 12x4x48 challenge. Are you with me? 4 miles of running at a 3-to-1 ratio works out to 12 miles of cycling every 4 hours for 2 days. And that's some saddle time, folks. 144 miles worth of cycling in comparison to the 48 miles of running in the original premise. I think David Goggins would approve though. Or he wouldn't give a shit and he would just say,
Make sure you do you. Stay hard.
as he went about his business. It's so hard to tell with him. Still, I think I'm setting myself up for a tough weekend of sleep deprivation and high mileage cycling. Between being sleep drunk and living in a climate that isn't exactly cycling friendly in March, nothing about this challenge will be easy on a bike. It might even be harder than running when all is said and done.
Just relax. Can you find your balls?
Cycling that long on that little sleep takes some getting used to. Trust me on that. That said, I'm going to use an indoor trainer for some of the rides and my winter bike for some outdoor variety, weather permitting. There's no question as to whether I have the gear or even the heart to do this challenge. The question that remains is whether I can actually ride 12 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours and complete the challenge in full. And if I do, I'll be going into the rest of my year with a new reservoir of resilience and some well-earned confidence. Or a full cookie jar, as David Goggins calls it.
One of the most powerful weapons I have, man, is a cookie jar. In times of need, even the hardest person forgets how badass they are. So I've been through a lot of shit in my life. When you're going through a hard time right now, you forget all the hard shit you endured. So the cookie jar is a reminder that, oh, I can get through this hard time right now, but you gotta take a second or two to reach into the mental cookie jar.
And I would also like to take the advice of David Goggins as per his recommendation to do this as part of a fundraising event for charity. It's not mandatory, but he thinks it's a good idea. Who am I to disagree with him?
A bunch of people are raising money for various foundations. This isn't my foundation, this is my event. But you can raise money for any foundation that you choose.
I am already fundraising for the Livestrong Foundation this year as part of my cycling goals, so this challenge and that fundraising complement each other nicely. This is a win-win. I'm going to need all the preparation I can get for my race later this year so that I don't let down the Livestrong Foundation in my efforts to raise money for outreach and research into cancer, or by not being ready when the time comes to toe the line at my race. So please help me reach my fundraising goal for the Livestrong Foundation. I'll take care of the riding if you can help me take care of the donations. And just remember that no amount is too small and every single donation counts. Check the description for links and details about everything I've talked about so far, and sharing this video helps too. Here's to keeping the rubber side down during the challenge and the rest of the year too. Wish me luck.
Stay hard, that's all I got. If you're confused, I don't know what the fuck to tell you.